Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. And I rise to make a contribution on the report tabled this week by the Public Accounts and Estimates Committee on the 2025-26 budget estimates. And specifically, Deputy Speaker, I would like to talk to the recommendations and the findings in the report around the government's pet project, the Suburban Rail Loop. Deputy Speaker, this is a bipartisan committee. In fact, it's chaired by a Labor government MP and the member for Laverton. And I have to say, the committee has done excellent work in calling out the lack of transparency around the enormously costly project that is the Suburban Rail Loop and its dubious cost-benefit equation. Dubious cost-benefit equation. Now, finding 45 of the committee's report, and I say again, chaired by the member for Laverton, states that Infrastructure Australia has low confidence in the project's cost estimates provided in the Victorian Government's business and investment case and considered the economic appraisal to be overstated. Recommendation 17 calls on the SRL Authority, or DTP, to publish an updated cost-benefit analysis of the Suburban Rail Loop. And the committee also notes in finding 49, Deputy Speaker, that the government plans to fund a third of the SRL East through so-called value capture mechanisms. In other words, new taxes on Victorians, on households, on renters and on businesses to pay for the big black hole that is the Suburban Rail Loop. Now, the report urges the government to publicly release details of its value capture strategy, including the fees and taxes it plans to use to raise the $11.5 billion from properties located near the proposed stations, specifically highlighting the fact that it is the government's intention to fund this project through putting new taxes on Victorians. New taxes on Victorians trying to buy a home in the area. New taxes on renters in the area of the Suburban Rail Loop. And why is that going to be necessary, Deputy Speaker? Why? Because the government has no plans of how to fund the Suburban Rail Loop. $11.5 billion supposedly from the state government, $11.5 billion from the federal government, of which we've seen about $2.2 billion delivered, and $11.5 billion from Victorian taxpayers. How will this be funded? It will be funded through higher debt and higher taxes, once again under the Allan Labor government. Now, these recommendations in the PAYAC report, chaired by the member for Laverton, are not radical. They're not political gamesmanship. They are common-sense measures that are designed to ensure transparency and actually protect Victorian taxpayers. And it echoes the advice of Infrastructure Australia, which earlier this year urged the Commonwealth not to allocate further funding to the project until the costs were reviewed and the funding model was clarified. The committee notes, Deputy Speaker, in finding 46 that Infrastructure Australia requires the Victorian Government to provide updated cost estimates, a comprehensive financing strategy detailing how value capture will work and an updated cost-benefit analysis, questioning in the report whether the cost-benefit analysis of the Suburban Rail Loop actually stacks up for Victorians, specifically calling out that the government should look at other ways to address the issues that this project is meant to fix. Now, we know, Deputy Speaker, that this project was dreamt up by the former Premier with a $30 to $35 billion price tag. But since then, construction costs have risen. Every single government project has blown out and cost taxpayers more, wasting taxpayer money. We know that every single government project has the CFMEU tax on it. 30 cents on the dollar of every government project is going to the CFMEU and organised crime and bullying and intimidation. And that's why the credit rating agencies have said to the government that the SRL is an elevated risk for seeing Victoria have a further credit downgrade. Once again, this government is disrespecting Victorian taxpayers, wasting their money and going to put up taxes and rise debts and cost all Victorians.